My name is Rory O'Connor, and for this project I decided to choose the topic of the challenges affecting organised youth sports in America. The reason I chose this topic for my project was that after reading Coakley's Chapter 5 in Sports and Society, and also as a coach involved in youth sports, I found a lot of topics brought forward in this chapter very relevant to youths actually participating in sports today. Some of these challenges I will list out, and also some solutions to these challenges. Again, from my experience of youth sport, these challenges need to be addressed in the hopes that youths involved in youth sport have a better experience and also are able to play the sports that they like. To give a brief overview of youth sport in America. Youth sport in America has seen a massive increase in participation rates since the early 1950s. In fact, Coakley tells us in Sports and Society there are between 15 to 20 million youths participating in organised youth sports in America today. This is due to many reasons, and Coakley does go into good detail into the growth of youth sport in America. But one of the main contributing factors is that we're now considered a neoliberal society, meaning that we're a society in which individualism and material success are highly valued. Again, those that Coakley listed we will get into in a different slide. Interestingly, youth sport was originally used as a tool to teach young boys rules and also how to work together productively. Young girls were unable to play youth sports, instead they were taught skills in which they would use in the future to become better housewives and better mothers, cooking and cleaning. And it wasn't until the early 1970s when the women's movement took place, which helped increase female participation rates in youth sport. Coakley lists numerous reasons for the growth of youth sport in America. His 5 reasons for this growth are listed below. The first is the increase in the number of families with 2 working parents. What this has done is increase the amount of income parents are able to spend on their children who want to play these youth sports, and also created a demand for these youth sport programs. So parents have somewhere to send their children while they're still at work. Again, with 2 working parents, nobody home to babysit creates a problem. And these sport programs are a great outlet for parents to send their children to. There's also been a cultural shift in what it means to be a good parent. By that, parents now need to know where their children are 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Not only that, children also have to be offered the opportunities to have fun, learn adult values, become physically fit, and acquire positive status amongst their peers. All of these things encompass being a good parent today. There's also been a shift away from child control activities, basically not letting kids kind of take care of themselves or look after themselves, putting them into adult-controlled environments where coaches or adults can now take care of these children and keep them safe in a safe environment. Basically not letting kids get into trouble all by themselves. Organised youth sports are a safe environment, and with these fear-producing stories highlighted in the media of kids being abducted or kidnappings occurring and taking place, parents want their kids now to be involved in safe environments where when they're out of their supervision they're also surrounded by adults who can keep an eye on them, keep them safe. Organised youth sports and youth sport programs are a great outlet for parents. And also professional sports has increased the awareness of sport. Now it's more popular to talk about sport, to be involved in the sport. And having your children involved in these sports has also become a lot more popular. Again, all encompassing under being a good parent. If parents hear other children having good stories and great success, they want. With the massive growth in participation rates in youth sport and the massive growth in youth sport itself, certain challenges and issues have occurred and risen and grown with youth sport. For the purpose of this project, I've highlighted 2 challenges in which I think need to be addressed by youth sport and by organised youth sport, and they're listed below. The first challenge would be the privatisation of youth sport, basically taking sport away from public amenities and public parks departments and putting them into the hands of private businesses or private companies in which there are employees and fees and costs associated with these teams. Sports such as baseball, basketball, and especially soccer have seen a tremendous increase in these travel teams in which parents now need to pay membership fees, team fees, and also travel costs to send their kids all across the country to play games against good competition. What this has done is reproducing economic and ethnic inequalities that exist in larger society. By that I mean parents Parents who can afford to send their kids to these teams are giving their children a lot more opportunities than parents who can't afford it. And those children are now denied these opportunities based on their parents' income, which is unfair to the child who might be interested in playing a sport. There's also been a lack of sport programs offered by public parks and recreation departments. This is kind of twofold. One, funding is not there like it used to be for these public parks, and also these public parks now need boosts of income, and they do this by renting out their facilities to these private clubs. So field space and opportunities for kids to play publicly or on their own or with their friends is now less, as private clubs have taken over these public facilities. There's also been a high cost associated with these teams and clubs, which you already spoke about: travel costs, membership teams, membership fees and dues, and also equipment costs. For parents that are unable to pay these costs, they're now being labelled as bad parents, meaning they're not able to give their children these opportunities that maybe most of their children's friends have. This is an unfair label, as just because parents cannot send their children to these private sports programs does not necessarily make them bad parents. The selective environment in which organised youth sport is controlled is also a negative. Picking kids that were the best, the strongest, the fastest, and not because they actually enjoy the game. Parents throw a lot of money into these sports and they want their kids to be coached by the best in terms of getting great results against good teams. Coaches then feel pressure in picking only the best players they have, meaning kids who are enjoying the sport, who are interested in sport, don't get picked, don't get to play just because they may not be as good or as technically as good as other players in the team. This can turn away kids from sport for the long term, as being told they're not good enough at a young age is not something that a child wants to hear, and can give them such a bad experience that they turn away from sport for a long time. Again, with the health problems and weight issues that Americans are now faced with, youth sport is not helping with this by turning kids away. The second challenge that we've decided to talk about are developmental issues in youth sport. Basically what we're talking about here is the exhaustion that kids are now experiencing from being burnt out due to overtraining from their coaches and from their teams. Coaches now are having to train players 3-4 times a week with games and competition at the weekends, because parents want their money's worth from these coaches for the amount of money they're paying to coach their kids. Kids are unable to exceed or get to these standards that coaches and parents are setting for them. Both mentally and physically, they're getting exhausted and they're being burnt out. What this means is that sport ceases to be fun for the child. It now becomes more like work, and that work is then judged on performance rather than participation. Rather than dropping a child off to an activity and letting them there for an hour and a half to enjoy themselves and have fun, now it is: how is that kid done? Have they gotten better? They're not there to have fun. They're there to get better because this costs money. Again, the enjoyment aspect has gone away from sport, and it's now more important to be physically better than anybody in your team, or to be the best player in your team. Coakley mentions in Sports and Society the performance ethic, in which it's a set of ideas and beliefs emphasising that the quality of the sport experience can be measured in terms of improved skills. I find this hard to believe, as the quality of the sport experience should be: did the child have fun? Did the child enjoy himself or herself? Do they want to go back? Do they want to continue on with the sport? Not have they improved in such a period of time? Again, the improvement will come as a child enjoys the sport more and more on his own, rather than being pressured into it. And again, these bad experiences are just driving kids away from sport in later life. If they're being pressured into something, they tend to not like it or not enjoy it. Again, causing a bad taste in that child's mouth and not letting them go back to that sport in later life is something that happens very, very often, which is a shame, as a lot of kids who enjoyed sport at a young age are playing those sports less and less into later life. Again, we only detailed 2 problems or challenges associated with youth sport, and some of the solutions are listed below. I would encourage any of the viewers to now watch and highlight their own challenges, and also list out some of their own solutions to some of the problems associated with youth sport. Some of the solutions below are more emphasis on inclusion rather than selectivity, meaning that more kids need to be now aware that those sports teams are open to them, and if they want to go participate in those sports teams, they are more than capable of doing that. Reducing fees and costs for organised sport, again, helping players and children that can't afford these fees. And certain initiatives can be taking place for every 4 kids, maybe that pay their fees, maybe one can get their fees at half price. Basically helping kids get into these sports and giving them the opportunities that all kids have, or that other kids have who their parents can afford it. Again, improving the amount of public facilities and the public facilities that are currently there, and improvement in their condition. This can be done by both public parks and also by people who want to use these facilities, rather than let them go to ruin and take advantage of them, keeping them well so they can be used for the long term. Reducing the pressure on kids to join these club teams. If a child wants to join a team, maybe get them into a public recreational program first, see if they enjoy it, and then make them join club. Pushing them into a club where you're paying a lot of money and then forcing them to go because you paid that money is not setting a good environment for that child or a good example for that child to follow. Less of an emphasis on being the best and more doing their best, pushing kids to be the best in the team, to improve their skills, again, the performance ethic that we already talked about, rather than going to a sport and enjoying themselves and having fun. Again, like I said, promoting the enjoyment of sport rather than just being there to work hard. Education of coaches and players, education of coaches and parents, in terms of what their players can do. This will help with the problem of burnouts and exhaustion with children. Educate them into the limitations of what children have in terms of mental exhaustion and physical exhaustion, so they can structure trainings and maybe cut down the amount of sessions they have per week to help kids recover quicker. Again, there are a lot of more solutions, but for the purpose of this project, these are the ones that I have highlighted. If you do have more after watching this video, I'd please encourage you to attach them, as again, the more solutions we have to these problems. I appreciate you watching this video. Thank you very much.